Mighty Ape is Australia's entertainment and pop culture superstore with everything from movies, music, games, toys, books, hobbies, and more. Mighty Ape is your one-stop shop for the things that matter most. They constantly have hot deals and exclusive promos. And if you visit their website on the click-through banner on fakechef.net's homepage, then your purchase will help support Good Movie Monday. Mighty Ape, Australia's entertainment and pop culture superstore.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning!
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning? What do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, and thanks for dropping by. This is Good Movie Monday, the weekly podcast presented by fakeshemp.net. Glenn Cochran is my name, and I'll be on this side of the desk for today's episode. And over on that side is Keith Schulz, the proclaimed man of taste, hero to some, enemy to others.
Glenn, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. Hero to many.
Yes, well, debatable.
Hero to those who have test.
Well, we're all geared up for another bumper episode. Guillermo and Adam are back on board this week for more of their weekly input. We're going to be talking to Jarrett very soon about something nerdy and exciting, and he's also going to have all of this week's new release news for you. And we'll also be giving you another sneak peek into the world of Bonehead Weekly, the podcast from Kentucky that smells a lot like moonshine. So anyway, Keith, my friend, what's been happening since last week?
What's been happening? Well, it's been an interesting news week for film-wise, Glenn. I've noticed that there's been some controversy about some of the old classics. One that we discussed recently in a Spitball video. Gone with the Wind, mate. Classic, staple of cinema, Hollywood, iconic. Has been, I believe, was taken off Netflix. Was it Netflix?
I think it was HBO.
Okay, taken off HBO.
Yeah.
Because of this whole situation we find ourselves in America and around the world with the race riots. It's a very controversial, topical subject. So they removed Gone with the Wind, and then I believe they put it back on, but with a disclaimer,
Correct.
a la 50s Hays Code style, saying, this is the context of the film, yada, 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 we don't endorse these views, something like that.
Which should be obvious.
Well, look, I know this is a hot potato. I'm going to throw it to you, mate.
Oh, thanks.
What are your thoughts on this? Because
Mate.
I'm not on board with this at all.
Cancel culture never sits well with me.
No,
It never will.
no.
Nor does retrofitting history.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you hear me on this show all the time talk about things that are timestamps, timepieces.
Context.
Context is important, and I think certain things like Gone with the Wind represent an era that is the truth of their era. The way that the black actors in that film were depicted is just the way society thought at the time.
That's right.
We don't think that now.
No,
So what the film to me represents is the progress we've made.
that's right.
Not only that, an important film in general.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also to the African American community. It was the first Oscar that an African American ever won.
It was Best Supporting Actress.
So let's throw that context into the
That's
argument.
important film history, yeah.
Yeah, no, this just, look, I didn't want to come into this subject outraged because I could easily fly off the handle. I don't think that does the issue any, it's a disservice to the topic itself.
That's right.
But you know what? Okay. What kind of sensitive, uneducated generation needs to be cotton-wooled at a preschool level like this?
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's basically film censorship, isn't it? Which we've always been against. We go back to the 50s, with the Hays Code.
Yep.
There was a very limited amount that you could do in cinema. Obviously, we've progressed, but I think that this is a regression. I think if you need a disclaimer before a film, particularly one that is 81 years old, then if you're a viewer and you actually need that, you require that as context for the film to help you understand it and to help you interpret it correctly, then you shouldn't be watching movies.
And I doubt who's going to be offended by this film. The
That's
people that are outraged and all this are not the people that are going to watch it.
No, that's exactly right. It's trying to rewrite history, reframe it. Anyone with half a brain will watch this film, recognise that it's made in 1939. It's like you're not going to watch an Alfred Hitchcock film for up-to-date current gender politics.
Yep.
You're not going to watch a Billy Wilder film for diversity.
Yep.
You're not going to watch a James Bond film for empowering female characters from the 60s.
Yep.
You're going to watch it for entertainment's sake, you're interested in films of that era, and you're going to have enough wherewithal to be able to interpret it correctly. So, I mean, the disclaimer for me is unpalatable enough. The fact that they actually removed it is, I think, ludicrous.
And of course, this is just a snowball effect because now everything's being pulled. Like in Australia, television shows like all the Chris Lilly stuff. Little Britain has
Faulty
been pulled.
Towers.
Faulty Towers.
A classic.
Had their the famous Nazi episode removed.
Nazis, man.
Well, how's this? Like
They deserved it.
They're even there's a petition to have Paw Patrol banned because it portrays police in a positive light.
That's brilliant.
Really? Like, I just find all of this absurd. This is not the world I want to live in.
It's right. It's just, I suppose, not to get too carried away. It's just virtue signaling. It's just symbolic gestures that from people who are comfortable that they don't want to actually cause real change. So it's just a virtue signaling exercise.
Yeah.
Which it matters if Gone with the Wind plays on a HBO or not. It matters not. Like, as in the context of society, it's not going to change a thing. It's irrelevant to causing any change whatsoever.
Well, I also believe that, and I could be mistaken, so if anyone wants to fact check me on this, please do. I believe that the supplier in Australia has just deleted the item from catalogue as well.
You kidding?
Yeah.
Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
With that tasty new Blu-ray.
Yep.
That is disgraceful.
We talked about. It is disgraceful. Yeah.
It's ludicrous.
Just overly sensitive.
Anyway.
Yeah, look, following on from last week's episode, I did disclaim that we would not be overly political on this show. So that's about where we'll leave it with that.
Yeah, it's just the principle of film censorship.
If you want to add your opinion to our social pages, then please do. Don't be surprised if we don't respond to those because we don't want to end up in a shitstorm.
No.
So shall we move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
All right. Well, keeping up with the drive-in cinema release and screening news that we've been reporting on over the last few weeks, here's what's playing in Melbourne. Again, cheers to all of you non-Melbourneites who stick it out with us every week when we go through this. Given that the majority of our listeners are from Melbourne, we'll quickly dish this out before moving on. The Coburg Drive-In, they have a new retro calendar up and running. So their website for the month of June has films starting tonight. You've got The Fifth Element.
Wow.
And you've got Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas coming up. Jackie Brown.
Wow.
Bridesmaids, The Shining.
Dang.
You've got The Notebook. You've got Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Some classics.
The
there,
Wizard
mate.
of Oz.
The Wizard of Oz is playing.
But not Gone with the Wind.
No, it got pulled.
Yeah, the Dramana Drive-In. This one is interesting. They're currently having a visitor's choice voting system on their website. So you can go there and vote for what you want to see screened, and most popular vote wins. I like that. That's sort of a people's choice thing.
That's great.
The Luna Drive-In will be screening too many films to list. They've got a really impressive lineup. Some notable mentions. You've got Jojo Rabbit, Ford versus Ferrari, The Conjuring, The Invisible Man, The Joker, The Grudge. And don't forget their new $3 million candy bar.
Yes, indeed. Screening Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah. You know what? I drove past the Dramana Drive-In last weekend, and I couldn't believe it. It was packed.
Wow.
Like, it was just on dusk, and the car lights were...
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was absolutely packed to the brim, so it was really good to see.
It's great.
So make sure that you visit all of those drive-ins websites. Climb back on board the drive-in train because it's exciting and it's fun. Wherever you are in the world, if you're not in Australia, then find your local drive-in, go out and support them. I believe there's a massive boom in the industry over in America with this.
Yes, sensational. It's romantic,
Live from America's premier horror and paranormal convention, every Friday night, Scarefest Television brings you guests from the horror and paranormal fields, plus featured movie reviews, entertainment features, and short films. Watch us live every week at scarefestradio.com or via Facebook and Twitter by following The Scarefest.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
Okay, so by now I don't need to remind you that you can catch me on Scarefest TV every Saturday at 11 a.m., which is actually 9 p.m. on a Friday night, American Eastern Standard Time. So check it out live, and if you do miss it, then you can also find my segments on the Fake Shemp Facebook page and YouTube channel shortly after. But speaking of scary things, Keith, my friend, there is a new Evil Dead movie coming.
Apparently so, Glenn. Apparently so, mate.
Are you excited?
I'm beside myself. Is number 4, is it?
Well, technically number 5.
Who's helming this one?
Well, about to tell you, but I suspected that you probably wouldn't want to participate as heavily in this one as I do.
Look, probably not.
So we've called in the big man, Mr. Jarrett Garn. He's back on the show to have a little chin wag. How you going, mate?
Good, man. Yeah, really good. Really good. Very excited about this Evil Dead news.
It's awesome. So what do you make of it?
it just completely blindsided me. Like, I just didn't know what to think.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
like the idea of, rather than go back to the last Evil Dead and get Fede Alvarez back, that they've chosen to pursue a new direction and get another director in.
Yes. So who's this director? This one, is it Lee Cronin?
Yeah, this guy directed The Hole in the Ground, which was an Irish horror film that came out early last year. We actually did screenings of it around Australia as part of Monster Fest Presents.
Yeah.
And it's a really cool film that it's really sort of atmosphere-based and driven by suspense. And it's more really what you sort of perceive as coming, less of, you know, less show and tell. It's just, yeah, it's suspense-driven. And there was plot holes with it. I had problems with the movie. I really enjoyed the movie, probably three quarters, and then it just didn't sort of have a direction, a good, you know, landing spot, which was a shame. That said, look, they're working with the Evil Dead now, so
Well, that's it. Well, I mean, it was in an interview with Empire magazine last week that Evil Dead star Bruce Campbell confirmed that the official fourth film was on the way. I don't know why he's calling it the fourth film. Maybe that's just because it's his timeline. I thought the reboot was kind of his timeline.
Well, yeah, it's odd because they kept talking about doing a film that would cross over both characters in the same universe.
And they even put him in
the
there.
Bruce Campbell cameo, even though, but go figure.
Go figure. And the title of this one is, what is it? Evil Dead Now, which I'm guessing is like an Apocalypse Now reference.
Precisely. That's as soon as I read that, I thought the same thing. And I
Did you think of Keith?
Bruce Campbell's having a lend of it. What's that?
Did you think of Keith? I did.
Yes. I'm like, finally, this might be the thing to get him over the line, to get into the Evil Dead franchise.
We'll see.
Well, it also comes after the 3 seasons of Ash vs. Evil Dead, which in my mind was a phenomenal continuation to the franchise. But anyway, I can't wait. It's going to be exciting. Keep your eyes on this space because we'll be reporting on it. There's no doubt about that. But we want to talk about something, some physical media, mate.
Oh, the old physical media, my good man.
What have you got for us this week?
I'm doing it live, which is bizarre.
It is.
To do this live. Because usually what I do is I try and either come up with the most outlandish thing I possibly can, which takes all of but 5 minutes, or I spend my time trying to think of something safe to do, and that takes me like hours.
Hang on. Something safe to do?
Yeah, you know, just something just light, you know, whether it be like a slight beat with the words porno after it, you know, something that's really just towing the line.
All right.
Not too towy as such, but yes. But yeah, home entertainment. Well, this week there's so much stuff coming out. It's incredible, man. But the best stuff that's coming out, it's all coming out through Universal Sony. Universal Sony have Lee Winnell's The Invisible Man coming out in 4K, Blu-ray and DVD. I know you love this movie. I love this movie.
Yep.
And so this is a day one purchase. And it's got a commentary with Lee Winnell. It's got featurettes. I think there's 4 of them. And deleted scenes as well. So it's a pretty good package. The 4K Ultra HD even has a Dolby Atmos track. So you can imagine how much more terrifying that movie is going to be able to watch it with, you know, complete immersive sound. So I'm really excited about that.
And 4K, like, you know, we've started to lose a few 4K. So it's good that this one's getting that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Universal Sony have been actually pretty good with the 4K lineup. Like, if there's a 4K master coming out, you know, in the US or the UK, then generally Sony are doing it locally, which is fantastic news. And on that note, there's actually 2 catalog titles coming out in 4K this week, which are really only weeks behind their international releases. And the first one's Jaws, Steven Spielberg's Jaws, which I was really hoping, because I pre-ordered it through Kix, which is Universal Sony's home, you know, website sort of thing, their own web store. I was hoping it would arrive early like Top Gun, and I'd have it on like, you know, last Friday and be able to watch it on the weekend. Unfortunately, it didn't. Hopefully it'll be here today.
Have you seen the artwork? It's delicious.
I don't know about the
You don't
artwork.
like it? You don't
Jaws
like it?
Revenge. It's like, why can't they just stick with the original art? Now it looks like Jaws Revenge. But that said, look,
I like
it's all about the content. It's what's inside that counts. And they've got all the archives.
In this case, the title is inside his mouth.
Exactly. And the transfer on this, 4K restoration, oh my God, I can't wait to see this thing. And there's a Dolby Atmos track. And I've read that the Dolby Atmos track too, it's not intrusive. It really plays with the original elements well. So John Williams' score, that iconic score, is supposed to sound fantastic, as are all of the other sonic delights in the film as well. Because sometimes when you watch a catalog title and they tweak the sound, it can just become a little bit false and needless. Like, why do I need to hear this guy walking behind me on, Amity Island? That's not necessary, or a seagull squawking or things of that nature. But if it's really sort of put into the score and bringing that orchestra feel to it, I'm all for it. But then another catalog title coming out from Universal Sony is The Elephant Man, by the way of Studio Canal, that is. That's on 4K Ultra HD, and that's 3 discs.
That's amazing.
3 discs. First disc 4K, the other 2 Blu-rays, loaded with special features, even 2 new special features, one with the stills photographer in the film who talks about working with Lynch and working on film in that period. And of course, the film's, shot in beautiful black and white. Even though he's a still photographer, he's got to represent that in the photo form to accompany the film. And then the other special features, like a BFI Q&A with the producer of the film, Jonathan Sanger, I think his name was.
Yep.
So, I'm
Cool.
dying to check this out, because early word about the transfer is it's just phenomenal. And you could imagine, because it's such a beautiful looking film. This is probably my favorite David Lynch film. And admittedly, I'm not a massive David Lynch fan, but my 2 favorite films are his most linear films, this and
Straight
The
Story.
And,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, absolutely. Then Blue Velvet, Walter Hart. And, I've got a soft spot, of course.
He calls The Straight Story his most experimental film.
Of course.
Yeah, well, the most experimental for Disney, I reckon. Hiring David Lynch to direct a movie. Crazy. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. Other stuff that's coming out through Universal Sony is stuff that's basically just headed to DVD only. There's Angel of Mine. There's Dark Waters, which I think that released just before the COVID sort of kicked in. So no one really got the opportunity to go see it.
It was Aaron Brockovich light.
What's that? Yes, absolutely. That's the most accurate way to describe that movie. Then there's I Still Believe, which is one of those faith films. Queen and Slim, which is another film that didn't really get a proper opportunity. It kind of came and went.
It was good.
Oh, yeah, it was good. I heard it was like a modern day kind of Bonnie and Clyde thing. And it sounds like it could be particularly relevant now during this whole sort of Black Lives Matter movement.
Yep.
Right. And then there's another movie that's coming out. Another one of these faith movies. Tell me, do these faith films, they must sell if they keep releasing them.
Of course they do.
They must, yeah. Well, there's another one coming. It's called Same Kind of Different as Me.
Say that again. Same kind of different as me.
I think it might be sort of regardless of what ethnicity or sex you are, if you are a Christian, you are the same as one another.
Right.
That's just my take from having looked at the artwork and read the title and gone, that must be what it's about.
You just made up your own synopsis in your head.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I didn't make it any more interesting or, for me to want to check it out. Aside from that, there's not much else coming out. Roadshow's got 2 releases. They've got Isn't It Romantic, which is odd that they're doing it on DVD. It was, it went to Netflix globally, but the film
Ages
was
ago.
made by, I think there must be a window, like a 12 to 18 month window for these things. But that movie actually was made by New Line and Warner and was coming out in theaters in the States, but then I think they did a deal. Maybe they just kind of weighed it up and went, Rebel Wilson, she's fantastic at what she does, but maybe it's not going to be box office gold, especially Adam Devine, sort of playing opposite her, which, I love Adam Devine, but he's not really box office,
Well, it's a repairing from Pitch Perfect, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. And then the other Hemsworth, the one that, not the one that nobody knows, but the one in the middle that you kind of know. Luke, I think it might be Luke Hemsworth. I didn't mind it, but I wouldn't be buying it on DVD. And then they've got another film, The Apparition, that's coming out on DVD too, a horror that I'd never heard of at all.
No.
Roadshow are releasing this. This looks like something you might see creep up on, an indie like Defiant or Eagle, but Roadshow are releasing it. So blew my mind. But yeah, so I think the week really belongs to Universal Sony with The Invisible Man and those 2 amazing catalog titles.
Brilliant. Well, mate, you've done your job.
Oh, well, I can't wait, man. I'm going to be down at JB on, or maybe pre-ordering through Amazon or Mighty Ape. Let's just spread the love. I'm going to be all over these discs this week in one way or another.
Well, all right. Well, dude, it's been great chatting with you, mate. We can't wait to get you back here on the desk.
Can't wait.
And now we're actually going to hear a little bit about what's screening on this Friday's Fright Night.
All right. See you guys later.
There's something strange happening over at the old Monsterfest base. Late every Friday night, strange sounds can be heard emanating from their Facebook page. Menacing lights flashing from mysterious posts. You've had a good movie Monday. Are you ready for a Friday Fright Night? This week, Friday, June 19 at facebook.com/monsterfilmfest. It's marathon time. So slip on your sneakers, pull up your tracky dacks, and get ready to keep it secret and keep it safe as we play 3 films back to back featuring genre queen Pollyanna McIntosh. Starting at the all-new time of 7 p.m., Monsterfest is proud to present The Woman, Let Us Pray, and White Settlers. Savage, violent, beautiful. The only thing wilder than this, Pollyanna, is a taste for carnage. Have you got what it takes to spend the night with Monsterfest and Miss McIntosh? Be there, if you dare.
And of course, that song was Can't Turn You Loose, and there's no prizes for knowing what movie that iconic number belongs to.
No.
It was, of course, The Blues Brothers, which turns 40 years old this week. Are you a
Yep.
fan?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, as a childhood favourite, which I actually watched maybe 6 months ago. I mean, I've watched it a number of times since I grew up, obviously. But
Yeah, I mean, I
love
was
it.
about to say this is a big part of my childhood. I mean, I'm sure there are so many kids out there, you know, from the 80s and 90s that had the sunglasses and the fedora hat and used to perform these songs in front of their families.
Yeah.
I
I,
did.
I think it's the first film it can be one of the first films you see when you're a youngster that's a little bit edgy.
Yep.
It's a little bit grown up.
Yep.
You've got these cool characters who are breaking the law. It's perfect for
It
like an
is.
8,
So
9-year-old.
It was directed by John Landis, co-written by Dan Aykroyd, the Blues Brothers. It was released in 1980. It was the first film to be based off a Saturday Night Live sketch.
Yeah.
Aykroyd and John Belushi had left the show the year before, so it was sort of a big deal for them to be making this film.
Well, they used to do gigs as the Blues Brothers, didn't they? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, and they still do. I mean,
Yeah.
Belushi doesn't, but his brother does.
yeah.
You know, House of Blues is the club that Dan Aykroyd set up, and
Yeah.
and I think they travel it as well.
It's epic. It's amazing.
If you're not familiar with the Blues Brothers, then you are definitely slacking. It's a blues music infused rock and roll adventure that sees the two Well, the two blues brothers, Jake and Elroy, travel across country on a mission from God to get the old band back together and raise money for their childhood orphanage.
That's right.
What a story!
Yeah, it's a
How
great
do you come
story.
up with that plot?
That scene with the nun at the start's brilliant.
That's right, with the cane. That's great. And the film's also littered with like all kinds of cameos. I think you got Aretha Franklin,
Yes.
James Brown, Ray Charles.
Ray Charles is in it. You've got Twiggy.
Yes,
She's in it. And that scene at the service station. And Frank Oz is in it too.
and Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. Who's Spielberg?
He plays the bank teller that puts
Far
up the
out.
back
Yeah,
end.
yeah. Far out. of
Yeah.
course.
Even Paul Rubens, John Candy, like
John Candy. Yeah.
it's an amazing cast, and of course Paul Schaefer, like he's
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
I sort of I ogle over this movie.
It's
saw
great.
I've seen it theatrically several times, and
Yeah.
I just can't get enough of it. I think it also boasted the world record for the biggest car wreck in
Yeah.
cinema history.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's a comedy, obviously, but it's got great tunes, and the action scenes are exceptional. Like the car chases and that are so well put together.
103 cars smashed in one scene.
Is that at the end? Or,
Yeah.
The pilot with the cop cars. The scene in the mall is brilliant. You know, where they go, there's a new Sears here. you know?
Yeah, that's right. It's like window shopping.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So I think that world record was broken 2 years later. So they didn't retain that record for long.
Yeah.
Gone in 60 Seconds 2 might have been the one that broke that.
But they got there first.
They did get there first.
Actually,
go on.
No, you go. No, you
I
go.
was going to say, how about John Landis though? Like this was a really prolific voice of
Yeah.
of cinema in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Do you like him as a filmmaker?
I do. No, I do. This would probably be my favourite of his, but yeah, he was churning them out, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know. Jarrett and I hosted a podcast where we focused on the Kentucky Fried Movie, which was his first film. Greatest sketch comedy film ever made.
Yeah,
Some of the
you love
greatest sketch comedy sketches
Yeah.
in general. Then he went on to Animal House, which was like iconic.
Animal House is great. Yeah, I have a soft spot for that one too. I must be said. Actually, Belushi, you know the scene in Animal House where someone throws him the bottle of Jack and he just necks it. I love that. It's brilliant.
Pretty sure that was real too.
Yeah, probably.
And I read somewhere, I think it was both the Blues Brothers and Animal House. Cocaine is what they provided Belushi to keep him going.
Yeah,
like the
that's right.
studio provided it for him to
Yeah.
maintain his stamina.
Well, he died in 81.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So not long after the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
It was a very brief moment in the sun. De Niro was with him the day he died.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
There's a whole nother story there.
He needed to calm it down.
Yeah, well, let me reel off some other Landis films while we're talking about him because they're iconic. American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
I think it's one of the best horror films in
Yeah,
general.
you love that, don't you?
Trading Places.
Yes.
Coming to America, Spies Like Us, Three Amigos, Michael
Yeah.
Jackson's Thriller.
No, of course. Yeah.
And of course, he fell out with Spielberg after the Twilight Zone movie and all of the disastrous events that took place there.
What do you think of that film?
I don't like it very
No.
much. I think there's two really good segments and
Yeah.
some pretty average fodder.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think Dan Aykroyd was also pretty prolific in the time.
Dan Aykroyd was on fire.
Yeah, because not only did he write Blues Brothers, he co-wrote Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
Spies Like Us, Dragnet. He directed Nothing But Trouble and wrote Coneheads.
He was massive, and he kind of just is he just in retirement now?
No, he endorses vodka. He
There you
he
go.
goes around like they have him on shows and panels to talk about Ghostbusters usually.
Yeah.
And his writer says that he has to be able to present vodka on the show, like and endorse this brand that he
Okay.
distills, and
Yeah.
it's all a big wank.
yeah,
so
it's-
you get about 20% Ghostbusters talk, and the rest of it's all about
All
vodka.
that vodka, spammy Daniel.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of Blues Brothers 2000?
I was just about to ask you that. I'm not a fan.
Really?
No, I'm not. To be fair, I think I've maybe seen it twice. It's been a long
It's
time.
interesting. I think that's a general consensus. Most people think it's a pretty shit movie.
And what do you think, Glenn?
Well, you know what I think, Keith.
I know. That's why I wanted to ask.
Look, I like it, and I think it's basically a rehash of the first one. There's no doubt about it. But I do think it's got some fantastic set pieces. I think the performances are pretty good. But I like the interesting concept of turning the duo into a quartet. So there's four of them. Look, it's all about the set pieces for me.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, too, it was made in 1999.
It was.
It looked a bit too polished at the time, but I think now that we've come so far that everything is really smick and polished, that it actually looks grittier than it did at release.
Yeah.
So I think you can go back and watch this one retrospectively and get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
It's good double feature.
Aesthetically, it's aged well.
I think so, and it also has an amazing car chase and car wreck scene.
Yeah.
Like I said, a bit of a rehash. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's generally maligned, but I'm the sequel guy.
You are. So, yes, you're playing true to type here.
Hey guys, it is Adam here from Adam's Just Seen with another Good Movie Monday recommendation. And I could go two ways this week. I could go Team Glenn or I could go Team Keith. And I've decided to go Team Keith and review a Bond movie, which is actually kind of surprising me because I've never been the biggest Bond fan, but I am changing my tune. All of the Bond films are currently on Stan, streaming in glorious high definition. And so the other night I decided to go back and watch Casino Royale, the movie that started it all for Daniel Craig. Now people forget that when this came out in 2006, the chatter online was not good. There were a lot of naysayers. Very, very few people believed that Danny C could pull this one off, and boy did he. Now his tenure as Bond is neck and neck with Connery, I believe, as the greatest Bond of all time. Now he has been a little bit up and down, so for every Casino Royale we get a Quantum of Solace, for every Skyfall we get a Spectre, and I'm really, really hoping that he sticks the landing with No Time to Die. Now Casino Royale is effectively an origin tale for Bond, and we find Bond here much more vulnerable physically and emotionally, and this has got all the great things that you want in a Bond movie. Like, it opens with a massive bang, and I forgot just how batshit crazy the parkour action sequence is at the start of this movie, and it gave my television a serious workout. The locales are absolutely gorgeous. We've got a classic villain here. You've got Mads Mikkelsen, and I think that the great thing about the villainous interplay in this movie is that look, playing cards isn't that dynamic, but between Daniel and Mads, there is just this tension, and there is, and they're really elevating this, and both of them have gone on to be truly acclaimed actors. And look, the absolute secret weapon, the absolute ace in the sleeve in this movie is Eva Green as Vesper Lynd. She gives this movie a complete soul. And the thing is, Craig is trying so hard here to be tough and to be stoic, and every scene that he has with Green, he just kind of melts. And I feel that is all of us. Everyone that watches this movie, when you're in her presence, when you're looking at her, it's hard not to feel the same way. She is so, so good. And I think unequivocally the best Bond girl of all time. The movie is a little bit long. It is 2.5 hours, but it is pretty well paced. And it has a spectacular final action sequence where buildings are literally being submerged. So yeah, look, if you haven't revisited this one since 2006, come back to it. It holds up really well. A big reason for it holding up so well is that they decided to scrap all the gadget heavy stuff that had weighed down the Brosnan versions, and instead they've gone for this kind of visceral, bone crunching action that could be found in the Jason Bourne movies. So much more realistic and definitely much more visceral. So this is a rock solid 4 stars for me. It is only kind of beaten by Skyfall by just kind of a nose, but I just think that Skyfall has the most amazing cinematography by Roger Deakins, so that's why that one wins by a nose. So Casino Royale, check it out on Stan, go and revisit it.
FYI, once a year, I do look up 83, 84, 85 Sears catalog wish book, because I go through it going, God, I wish I had that. God, I wish I had that. It's really sad. I did this 3 weeks ago before I went to bed by myself with the light on.
I remember as a kid, and of course 90% of the time my parents couldn't get half of the stuff that I wanted, but my parents we'd get it in the mail. My dad usually would say something, when I was a kid, you could order a horse through Sears, which was true.
By the way, your parents lied to you. They weren't poor. They just thought you were an asshole.
Is he in bed? Get the caviar. But anyway, no. So that's the. I say all that to say, but I do remember. I agree, Joe. I remember going through the wish book, and I look. My kids will never have it. They will never. They don't even have the Toys R Us wish book anymore. That died 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Anyway,
I would tear out the pages.
So next up, let's keep it rolling.
You do that with most books. I want to start with one.
I want to start with who?
Once again, that was a tiny taste of Bonehead Weekly podcast from Kentucky, and that's from their latest episode, which looks back at the forgotten toys of the 80s. And those guys will be joining our show for a regular segment in the coming weeks, and we can't wait for that. Follow them on social media, listen to their show, and you can find them on most podcast hosting platforms. But it is time to talk about recommendations.
Yes.
All right, Keith, last week I set you a challenge.
You did.
All right. So the challenge was to recommend a contemporary film.
Yes.
How did you go with that?
So I've delved into the 90s. No, I'm kidding. I've got something from.
Awesome.
I got something from 2011.
I was going to say it's not like Tarantino's latest.
To be fair, though, I have recommended a film from the 2010s previously, although it was a doco. Anyway.
Digress.
Yes, there's a digression. I just wanted to put that out there, people. This is number 2. Number 2 for Keith's 21st century recommendations is the 2011 spy thriller Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Wow, mate. Even with the challenge set, you played to type very well.
That's right.
Hats off to you, sir.
I found a way of making it, of Keithifying it, by Thomas Alfredson.
There's a new T-shirt for us.
Yes, indeed. I feel this film. I don't know. I'm sure some of our listeners have seen this. I know it was commonly or is commonly criticised as being somewhat dull, perhaps boring, but I'm of the opposite opinion. I think it's quite a captivating thriller, a slow burner, subtle, an incredible cast. It's obviously based on the famous '80s John le Carré novel. In the Cold War, George Smiley, who was played by Gary Oldman, brilliantly played by Gary Oldman, previously played by Alec Guinness, is tasked with searching for the mole at the top level of MI6. It's set in the 70s. Brilliant production design. A cast, Glenn. Let me throw this at you. First, you've got an Oscar-nominated role from Gary Oldman. You've got Mark Strong. You've got John Hurt. You've got Toby Jones. You've got Benedict Cumberbatch. You've got Colin Firth. You've got Stephen Graham. The boys. Tom Hardy is in it, and he's sensational in it.
You're right.
I mean, far out. Need I say more? If you want a slow burn thriller, don't expect like an action-packed film, but it's got a great twist. It's got intrigue, and it's melancholy. It's all about changing eras. I would highly recommend it. It's shot beautifully well. Thomas Alfredson, I believe, made Let the Right One In.
Yeah,
I think so.
I think so.
Yeah, it's a great
fact check alert.
Yeah, don't quote me, but I'm going with it. Great film that is. But check it out.
I've seen it once and I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and I should revisit.
It is rewatchable. It actually gets better. I think the first time I watched it, I'm like, I enjoyed things about that. Little dull, not what I was expecting. I've seen it a few times now, and I'm like, yeah, it's a real grower. So give it a bash with a nice hot cuppa.
Okay. For my recommendation, I'm going right back to 1977.
Oh, here we go, son.
It's a disaster movie. Do you want to have a stab in the dark?
77 disaster film. Oh, it's not Airplane, is it?
It's not. So this one is Roller Coaster.
Okay.
It's a pretty cheesy flick, but damn if I don't love it. So, look, it came about during that glorious time when disaster movies were all the rage. You had Towering Inferno. Yeah, Earthquake, Poseidon Adventure.
Yes.
Airport movies.
Classics.
I love them all. And I guess this one, they were kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel when they came up with the concept for this one. How's this, though? The poster declares, Roller Coaster is a suspenseful melodrama of the sort that Alfred Hitchcock does best.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Does best.
That's
the New York Times.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely nobody else agrees with that sentiment.
No. That's probably because he used to say a thriller's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, but it does star George Segal.
Okay.
And he also agrees it's very Hitchcockian.
Yes.
I read a little bit of a press junket from back in the day, and he's like, yes, wait for this film. It's going to be very Hitchcockian.
Wow.
Anyway, he plays an amusement park inspector who investigates and eventually hunts down a terrorist who's sabotaging roller coasters with bombs and demanding ransoms.
Brilliant.
It's hokey, but it's so much fun. Timothy Bottoms is the psychopath, and he's fantastic in this. I love Timothy Bottoms.
Yeah.
He was, what did he play? He was in The Last Picture Show.
He was. Is he in Target's Bogdanovich's first film where he plays the shooter at the university?
Oh, he could be.
Yeah, Target's is a brilliant film.
He's in Return from the River Kwai.
Yeah, of course.
Look, he's also in Texasville Invaders from Mars, and I think he played George Bush in that TV show from the guys that made South Park. That's My Bush, I think it was called.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, anyway, look, get on it. It also stars Henry Fonda as the park owner.
Fonda?
Yeah, he's in it. Back then, if you had a disaster movie, you had to have a big bill name.
Yeah, you did.
Even if they're washed up at the time.
Yeah.
We spoke about him on a
recent
recent video.
Fonda.
Yeah. But interestingly, it's also the debut of Helen Hunt.
Wow.
And Steve Guttenberg.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, Roller Coaster, get on it. It is dumb.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Should we give away some movies?
We should.
All right, so last week's contest winner is Ryan Kendall, whose likes and support never go unnoticed. So thank you very much, Ryan. We're going to get some juicy films to you in the post.
Thank you.
So for next week, if you want to win some movies, just keep being legends and interacting with us on social media, and we'll just continue to throw free stuff at you. Like, comment, share, all of the above. Facebook, YouTube, wherever. So it's been fun chewing the fat with you all again for another week. That's us for now. Thanks all of you for being part of this ever-evolving thing of mayhem that we do. We love doing it, and we'll be back next Monday with the first of a two-part interview with filmmaker Kimball Rendell, who made the film Cut, Bait 3D, and Guardians of the Tomb. A real genre maverick there.
Yes.
Cheers to the regulars, Jarrett from Monsterfest for joining us on this show, AFCA Chairman Adam Ross, Guillermo from Screen Realm, and some added cheers to the guys from Bonehead Weekly and the Motley Crew from Scarefest Television. So here's another incredible tune to take us out, this time from Blues Brothers 2000. It's Season of the Witch by Dr. John and the Blues Brothers. We'll see you next week, everyone. Good Movie Monday.
When I look out my window, many sights to see. When I look in my window, so many different people to be. It's strange, so very strange. You got to pick up every stitch. You got to pick up every stitch. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch. When I look over my shoulder, what do you think I see? Some other cat looking over his shoulder right at me. And it's strange. Sure is strange. You got to pick up every stitch. Beating dicks out to make it rich. Oh no. Must be the season of the witch. Must be the season of the witch. When I look out my window, so many sights to see. When I look into my window, so many different people to be. pick up every stitch. Rabbits running